All right, Michael, true or false? Did I just grab you from the street over there to give you a free haircut? Awesome, bet. Let's do it. You excited?
I am.
All right, let's get into it. Since we are gonna go ahead and trim the top, I wanna start with all of this scissor work first. So the first thing that I'm gonna do, because Michael here has a lot of hair, is I'm gonna go and I'm gonna separate the sides from the top. What you wanna do is you wanna actually just start to separate and section the hair so that you don't get super overwhelmed. So what I'm gonna do is just separate the sides from the top. This is just gonna help me not get super overwhelmed by all this hair that he has. And it's a lot easier to go ahead and section everything once the hair is actually saturated. So since I'm not gonna cut the top yet, I don't really need to worry about going ahead and sectioning it off. But you can see right here, just from combing his hair out, I can see his cowlick right here. So I'm gonna go and use this to section out the hair well. You wanna do like a horseshoe parting, but you know, in the same way, you wanna make sure that it's actually tailored to their head shape, because if you cut the hair in a way where the hair really doesn't wanna lay, the haircut's not gonna come out so good. If you guys saw my last tutorial, you know that preparation is super, super, super important when it comes to doing this. So I'm gonna saturate some more of his hair over here. Start to break it down. Now obviously, because his hair, you know, is super long, has some kind of knots in it, so you don't want to go and pull his hair too much. But I am going and I'm using the wider teeth of my comb. You can see the wider teeth. I'm using these wider teeth, and the reason why is because since I'm combing through a lot of hair, I don't want the comb to like snag on his hair. Now when I'm actually going and cutting, that's when I'm gonna use my finer teeth. So you can see here, I have a nice even section, but you can see it's a little bit odd over here, and the reason why is because of that cowlick. But this is just a tailored section, a section that's actually cut to his specific head shape. So now we're gonna go and we're gonna just bring the sides down just a little bit, just using the scissors. So now we're gonna go and really go ahead and saturate his hair, because this is the hair that we're gonna be cutting. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna use a pick just to go and get some of these knots out of his hair, just so it's a lot easier to go ahead and actually get through. So what I'll do is I'll pick out the hair, but I'm gonna kind of grab it and then just pick out the ends. That way it's not like snagging them, and it's a lot more comfortable than if you just try to go and pick it out. You know, you wanna give people a good haircut, but you know, in the same way, you want the haircut to be a comfortable experience. You don't want it to be super uncomfortable. You're pulling their hair, you're smacking them with the clippers. So if there's a knot, I'll just hold the hair and then I'll just pick out the ends. And then you're gonna see when I actually go with my comb, it's gonna be a lot easier to comb through. All right, so remember, we have our top line and we have our bottom line, just like always. So we're gonna first start with just setting in our top line. So what I'm gonna do is pull a section of hair from his occipital bone. The occipital bone is that part in the back of their hair where it has like a lump to it. It's the part that comes out the most. I'm gonna move all this hair out the way. I'm gonna pull from the occipital bone, and I'm just gonna take off maybe like an inch, not too much. Pull out the hair straight from that part. And now I have my guide for my top line, just there. Now I'm gonna do is pull all this hair out. And then now you can see underneath, you can see all that hair that's already cut. Now that hair ends up being my guide for the rest of this. And now I'm gonna go and set in my guide. Now it's super important that when you're setting in your guide that we're gonna create like a ring throughout the top, right? Every step that you take, you're gonna pull the hair. So I'm gonna pull this out, right? But now I'm gonna take one step to the right, and then I'm gonna pull the hair out again. Take another step to the right, pull the hair out again. Now, when you're setting this line, you're setting it just straight out from the widest part of their head. So in the back, we set the line from the occipital bone, but now we have to go and use the parietal ridge. But the parietal ridge, it kind of gradually moves up, right? So instead of just creating a straight line like this, it's actually gonna start to go up. So when you see me pull the hair, I'm naturally gonna be pulling it higher to come straight out from the parietal ridge. Now we're gonna go and just continue to take off this same length. So now, the cool part is that we're evening out his haircut. So I'm taking one step to just go back and check my section, and I'm going ahead and just pulling down a little bit. And now we're gonna go and do the same thing on the other side. So I'm gonna take another step, find my guide, cut the hair, and I'm only gonna go to this line in my fingers. You don't wanna pull sections that are too big, because it's gonna leave you having a very uneven cut. So I'm only gonna go to that section right there. Take another step to the side, pull this out. And then you're gonna see, same thing like the other side, you're gonna see that I naturally start to take off a lot less hair. Boom. So, and I always go back and check my guide, because if you just do it the right way the first time, it's gonna be a lot easier. You're gonna have so much cleanup work. So now I set in my top line, right? Now I need to set in my bottom line. So he said he wanted a taper. So what I'm gonna do, section all this hair out, and now I need to get a base for my taper. So I'm gonna get another line. So now I'm gonna go and set in a baseline. Now I'm not gonna go directly onto his scalp because I don't wanna take his curls that short. I know he said he wanted to keep some length. And we'll just do a little bit of clipper over comb there. And remember, I'm still taking that same just one step. Taking that one step to set in this bottom line. And another reason why I'm not taking it too short is because you gotta think about it. These curls are gonna shrink. Curls definitely shrink up, especially the way that we're gonna style them. They're gonna shrink, so you wanna leave some extra length, because if you cut them too short, what's gonna happen is that whenever you actually go and style it, they're gonna be even shorter than you might have thought, whenever you had everything combed out.
The first barber to understand this.
You said the first barber did that?
To understand that.
Oh yeah, super important, right? Yeah, sometimes, you know, barbers won't have curly hair, so they won't really know, you know, how it works, but, you know, you go ahead, you take a shower, you get some water in it, and you see, man, like all my curls done shrunk up already. So now you see I just went and I set in that bottom line right there. And it's a lot easier to set in that bottom line when you don't have a bunch of extra hair in your way. So now I'm gonna go and do the same thing on the other side. You can see my guide's already in there, comb all this hair out the way. And now I'm gonna start to take that same guide. I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing over here. And we'll take it all the way through. And now you're gonna see the really cool part of this is now I'm gonna show you guys how to connect the top line to the bottom line. And that's what makes this system so freaking dope, right? So now I'm gonna go resaturate the hair. So you guys see that we created that top ring, and now I went and created that bottom ring as well. And now we're gonna go and connect the dots. And the cool part is that this works even with curls, even with, you know, him having like a more of a froier look. Now, obviously, I didn't take it as short as maybe something else. That's also because I'm gonna tailor it to the actual style that he wants. So now, if I take a section, my sections are only gonna be as wide as a comb. If you take a section too big, the hair's gonna be uneven when you cut it. So you want a section that is only as wide as a comb. So now you see, I'm gonna go pull this hair out towards me. And now you can see, you see that peak right there? If I turn the hair out, you can see where I have my top line and my bottom line. Everything up here, keep your head right there, perfect. Everything up here is even, but then when I go to my bottom line you can see is right there, and my top line's all the way up here. So what I wanna do is cut everything that's in the middle. So I'm gonna go until I see that. Start to bring that length a little bit shorter. And now you can see my top and my bottom. I can see that little peak. Boom, right there. Take another section. Comb it out the way. We're only gonna do a comb width. Pull that hair out until I find it. I can see that. All that's extra. Take it down one more time. All that's extra. Boom. And now you're literally just gonna go take these same comb width sections and bring all the hair straight towards you. Make sure that you see what you're cutting. So you don't wanna just, you know, cut random stuff. Don't just cut to cut. You wanna make sure that you actually see what you're gonna cut before you cut it. I'm just gonna go straight through, cut the whole thing. I can take another section. I can even, you know, change up my hand position if I need to. And look at that, you see that short piece? If I pull it out, I can now connect it to that long piece. Now when it comes to the side, I do like to do like more kind of like diagonal sections. So I'll kind of go like this. Pull it out, trim it, pull this out. Look at that, you can see the peak right there. You can see short point, short point. Now I'm gonna go and I'm gonna cut. And you can see here, all of this, it still has curls, But look, it's just a lot more even. It still has curls, but now it's like there's real structure. There's real structure in the curls. You see how this side's sitting a lot nicer and kind of more graduated up versus this side is super like, almost like floppy looking. So now we're gonna go and then just start to do the same thing on the other side. I'll start back in the middle just to make sure that, you know, this is good. Come over to the side. You can see that short point, cut the middle. Now what I'm gonna do is come over here and I'm gonna start from this side and work my way back. So I'll take a diagonal section, comb the hair away, trim that, go one section back. And you guys can see that, like, you know, he came in with a lot of hair and a lot of barbers would be very, you know, intimidated to deal with that much hair. But when you go and you section things away, you can see I have all this sectioned, all that sectioned, all this sectioned. You know, you're only working on one thing at a time. So out of the whole haircut, I'm only worried about this right here. And you can see now we have that same graduation on both sides, right? Where it's shorter here, longer here, and we still have a lot of curls, we still have a lot of length, but now we have a lot of more structure that, you know, the curls can actually go and sit on. So now I'm gonna show you guys how to actually break down cutting the top. So this whole strip is what we have to cut. Now I can worry about wetting the top because we're gonna cut it. I'm gonna split his hair down the middle, but obviously we have to start with just saturating it. I'm gonna go through and pick through his hair again because this top, the part on top is probably a little knotted too, which is okay. Drop the chair, make sure it's comfortable. Usually you gotta drop the chair whenever you're cutting the top just to make it easier for like your shoulders. And you can see now all the hair is wet and it's not knotted up, so now I can comb through a lot easier. I'm gonna take a section, but I'm gonna take into account his swirl right here, right? So I'm gonna take his swirl into account and bring that all the way to the front. I'm gonna comb it all the way down to meet that section. But ultimately, I'm gonna look at his hair and see if he has another cowlick in the front. So you can see that he has a bit of like a cowlick in the front. Like the hair growth pattern is changing. You can see over here, it wants to go like this. So I'm gonna curve it just this way because naturally all this hair wants to move. You see that? This is like the way that his hair naturally kind of wants to go. And now we're gonna go and we're gonna connect the top into the sides, and we're gonna go ahead and use that same top line that we did. We're gonna connect the top into that. So you see that? You see all that short hair underneath? Remember, you still gotta take a step, but if you don't see that guide underneath, don't cut. I'm only gonna cut where I see that guide. Now, when you get to the ear, that's where, you know, you gotta be careful now. That's where, depending on how long you wanna have the front, that's like the point that you wanna start to transition your length. But for him personally, the front is actually gonna be pretty like even with everything else because he's just going for like a curly fro. It's not like a pompadour, I wanna leave it, or a crop where I wanna leave it a lot longer, you know, but at this ear, at this point, this is where you wanna start to look at that stuff. So I'm literally just gonna go straight through. I'm gonna keep the front long. I'm gonna still keep it curly in the front. I'm not gonna change the shape. At the ear, this is where you wanna look at it, but like I said, we're just gonna keep it pretty full in the front. I'm not gonna go short, I'm not gonna go long. I'm just gonna keep it pretty even. And now you're gonna see when it actually comes to cutting the top, how easy it is. It's gonna be super easy when it comes to cutting the top. When we cut the top, you're gonna go ahead, drop the chair, comb all the hair forward, and literally just pick it up, and you're gonna see another short point and another long point. So I'll go ahead, pick it up just like this. Let me see, where's that short point? Short point you can see right here, that short point. Take that, and remember, you're only gonna do sections that are like a comb width long. Depending how narrow their head is, that's really what's gonna kind of tell you how many sections you gotta do on top. How many times you gotta pull up the hair, because if they have a pretty narrow head, you can literally just pull up one section and cut everything. But if you don't, then you might have to do two sections if their head is pretty like wide on top. You might have to go one over here and then one over here. So it really just depends. Now you can see the whole top is cut. It's a little bit shorter here and here because that's where we're gonna do our taper. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna dry his hair. I'm not gonna style it a lot, not yet. I'm gonna dry his hair and I'm gonna show you guys how to do a taper, and I'll show you guys the final look. So now I did go and I dried his hair, but I only really dried the hair that I'm gonna be cutting. The stuff on top I'm not gonna cut, so I don't really care about it right now. All I'm gonna do is just taper into this. And when you see, when I dried it, I purposely dried it and took out all of the curls. That doesn't matter. The curls are all gonna come back when we actually style it. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start with a 4 and just kind of scoop out. And the reason why is because I wanna have a nice blend into the curls. So I'm literally starting with a 4, and we're gonna purposely do like a lower taper, because if we do a lower taper, we can keep majority of the curls on the side. But I just wanna keep some of this like hair, and I kinda just call it like the transition length. You know, the length that is gonna help to blend it visually into the curls. And now after that, I'm gonna go into my 3. So how I really start my fade is by debulking with the 3. After I debulk with the 3, I set in my skin line. And you just gotta remember where you put your skin line. Are you putting your skin line up here, down there, wherever? And you wanna remember that, because that's gonna help you when it actually comes to keeping an even taper on both sides. So now I'm gonna go ahead, lever open. And now after that 3, after that lever open, you take your 1.5 guard all the way open and you blend straight into that 3. You need that 3 because you need that kind of transition length to blend into that scissor work. But when this 1.5 open, it really acts like a 2. And then what you do is after you do this 1.5 open, you go straight close, and now you have an actual 1.5. And since I'm working in a super tight area, I'm purposely doing, you know, smaller clipper strokes. Now after that, you take not your 1 guard, you take your 1/2 guard. This is my 1/2 guard right here. You have that 1/2 guard, and that 1/2 guard, you're literally just doing some lever play, and then you'll literally just blend out the bottom with a little bit of lever play, just literally notching it up, using the corners. And you can see we completely blend it out. Now, all I gotta do is line it up, and I'll just give him some C cups right here. Boom. Line up right here. Well, now that the lineup's actually done, then you can go and you can detail the haircut. So if I want to take a little bit of weight out the top, I'll just go right back with my 1.5 guard and just kind of slice cut into it. That's really where I'm just using my corners. I'm literally just using the corners of the blade, and the taper's already done. That's how you just pick a low taper, and that's really just 2 guards. The 3 is just to debulk. And now I'll go ahead and I'll taper the rest of it. I'll show you guys the back, just how to, you know, actually blend into the back. Now I'm not gonna waste your time showing you guys the other taper because it would literally be the same thing. But now I can go and blend all of this up into the curls on top. And a lot of people have trouble blending into the curls, and the reason why is because you don't have any transition length. You don't have length that's essentially long enough. As like you need almost like an in-between of like clipper length hair and scissor length hair. So what I'll usually do is I'll take a 4 and I'm literally just gonna like scoop into that longer hair. Comb it down, scoop into that longer hair. And I'll purposely start longer, and then I'll just go shorter and shorter and shorter. Because remember, you can always take off more hair. Now we are purposely doing a low taper on him just because we don't want to take things, you know, too short. He does have a super tricky taper area because he has some calyx back here, but you know, that just means you have to be a little bit more patient with it. You have to really brush down the hair, really comb it down. So that's my 1/2. Now we're gonna go with the 1.5. I'm going straight into that 3. And then I just slowly start breaking it down. After that 1/2, you go straight to the 1/2 guard, start open, and then slowly start to knock it down. Slowly but surely. The biggest kind of trick that I can give you guys, if you guys want to have more like of kind of compressed fades or tapers, is you just have to do smaller strokes with your clipper, and you just got to use a lot more of the corners in there. If you use the whole blade, what ends up happening is you sometimes end up pushing everything up, and then you have to end up stretching it out a lot more. And you gotta just be okay with, now for him, the reason why we're doing more of a compressed look is because he wants to keep as much curls as possible. He really just wants to clean it up. Because the higher that I take it, the less curls that he's gonna be actually able to have. I wanna try to keep as much curls as possible. And now, whenever the whole fade is done, now I can go and just line it up. Naturally, when you're doing your fade, these hairs are gonna get cut a lot shorter. So I can literally just go just line it up just like this. And all of these hairs right here are gonna be the hairs that actually curl up. This is a part of tapering the curls and tapering the look, and just giving him a nice clean line around the ears. If I don't do this, then he'll have curls going over his ear like crazy. And now what I'm gonna do is go ahead and line up the other side, style the hair, and show you guys the finished look. All right guys, so as you can see, this is the final product of the haircut. What I want you guys to see is the shape of the haircut. You can see the curls are tight to the head, very nice shape. Everything is styled up. You can see how the curls really shrink up. Nice low taper here. You can see the shape in the back, how it just is really graduated, has a lot of nice length. Maybe I could have stretched out the taper out a little bit more in the back. You know, this is my first time cutting him, from literally just picking him out outside from off the street to cut his hair. But look at the shape, look at the curls, look at how everything just compresses up really nicely. What I want to really show you guys is the front. Look how nicely the front looks in terms of the actual shape of the haircut and how it's actually sitting on his head and how it's connected and blends in. It doesn't look like, you know, like an undercut or anything like that. So guys, anything that you think I could have done better on the haircut, let me know. Make sure to let me know if you guys actually use this haircutting system. Now guys, if you guys want more tutorials like this, more in-depth stuff, there's actually a link down below, and that link is gonna take you to the free school community. That free school community has a bunch more tutorials just like this, and it has some other videos helping you to build your clientele, make more money behind the chair, and to raise your prices. So go ahead and check that stuff out down below. And if you guys want more tutorials like this, just let me know. Throw a comment, let me know what you guys think about the video, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.